All right, welcome to a slightly different episode of Pop Culture POV. Obviously, we enjoy doing all the pop culture hot takes and perspective, and of course, point of view. On this one, I really don't know how we're going to break it down because it is going to be a little bit different. Remembering and celebrating the life of Leslie Jordan. Of course, if you're watching him currently on Fox's Call Me Cat, he's hysterical on that. And there's so many different entry points as to why or how people sort of started to enjoy his work. Obviously a 40-year career. And lo and behold, during the pandemic, it seemed like Leslie Jordan was somebody that everyone really, really, really enjoyed based on his Instagram posts. And I think even now, not necessarily on TikTok, but the content has made its way over to TikTok, and people dance with him and just really, really react to everything that he did during a really tough, March of 2022, March of 2020 till, it was a good long time of being stuck in the house. And, um, you know, obviously his career spanned 40 years and it had different facets, and he was always very vulnerable and honest about all the things that he'd done. But, it was just this magical, it wouldn't even be an overnight success. It would be an overnight success in terms of, now everyone could see all of the hard work, all of those years, doing tons of commercials in his earlier career. He loved to sing as well. So he had a lot to bring to the table. And I think on a lot of occasions, many and most people really did begin to see, his experience with Karen Walker, on Will and Grace, and really how that became such a big deal of the time. I didn't originally watch Will and Grace when it was originally out. I sort of combed back to watching it. And what's funny? I was just watching an interview recently, and it turns out he only had about 12 episodes during that run, that initial run. But the impact that he made was just so much greater. Not to jump too far ahead, and I will kind of break everything down. And of course, we are the words that I don't want to say, that we are celebrating the life of Leslie Jordan, just because, the news has now stated that he did pass away in an automobile accident, and in Los Angeles on his way to work, no less. The current job that he was doing was Call Me Cat, which is a show on Fox TV. It is so dynamic. Let me just bask in this in a moment, and I think that will allow you to understand where I feel quite sad about it. And I'm not typically one of the people who does a YouTube or a podcast. A celebrity is good because a celebrity gives their art, and that art gets fed to you and you really receive it. And a lot of times, it's always sad when something, happens, tragically. But I'm not one of the people who jumps to, post something or do a podcast or do a YouTube. But there was something, and maybe you're with me on this, so unique and so so sad, where I really wanted to make sure that I devoted an episode to Leslie Jordan and really like break down more of the career. I originally was like, well, do I even qualify, or to speak to this? Or typically when I do episodes, I like to spend a lot of time, researching as much as I can. But I felt like what would be the best bet is to honor the work and the comedy that made me laugh and made me happy and made me inspired. So I felt like I would do an episode. So please, if you can, bear with me as we get through this episode and kind of talk about what drew me to some of the stuff that he did, both on camera, off camera, and just his vulnerability, and where we land here and now. They say life is a dash, and we will look at that dash right now for, sadly to say, the late Leslie Jordan. Going back to the show, it is Call Me Cat on Fox. So the reason that I'm really, above and beyond, he was great in Will and Grace, and he had done some stuff on American Horror Story, which was to much acclaim. And he's just fun. People just really do enjoy him. Right now, I found it in particularly quite interesting that he was on a show with Mayim Bialik. Let me give you the premise, because the show itself is so perfect, like it's already so perfect, and then I'll give you where he came into the show. And the show's now on its third season, and if sitcoms aren't really all the rage anymore. I still love them. I still, I bask in remembering the days of must see TV, or TGI Friday, in terms of like Full House was on and Family Matters and Step by Step, that block of TV over on CBS. They had Ray Romano and Big Bang Theory and How I Met Your Mother. Like, I really live for a good sitcom. Like, I've always enjoyed it. I'm not too cool for the room. I tend to watch television and say, okay, premium TV is good. You could go that much deeper in terms of what the content is. But like for a wholesome sitcom that can make you laugh, I just don't feel like we have very many of those. And Call Me Kat was just this really magical thing. It's season number 3 right now. When I watch it, I look at the show as this is one of the great sitcoms. This is one of those sitcoms that should be going 7 to 10 years. I mean, I'm telling you, 7 to 10 years. It's perfect in every way. So this, really is a jolt, to lose Leslie Jordan. A little bit about the premise of the show. So you have Kat is the lead character, of course, Mayim Bialik. The show's produced by Jim Parsons as well. And Mayim Bialik, they work together on The Big Bang Theory, and it's actually a show based on a UK series called Miranda, and it's very kooky, and it's basically the 40-year-old cat lady. Her father passes away in the show, and she's in a different profession, a more astute profession, but she would rather do what makes her happy because, when life changes like that, you have to do what makes you happy, not necessarily be in that machine and say, what am I doing here? So Kat, Mayim Bialik's character, decides to open up a cat cafe, and Randy, played by Kyla Pratt, is alongside Phil, which is played by Leslie Jordan. Now, I just found out, maybe I knew before, but I just like forgot and reminded myself. Um, the original character was supposed to be more like a Southern Belle. I mean, of course, Leslie Jordan is a Southern Belle, but it was supposed to be Phyllis. So it wasn't even supposed to be the male character. Phil um, became something that got added into the show. I believe some of the people at Fox. This was actually information that was on Mayim Bialik's Breakdown. It's her podcast, which is very, very good. I encourage many people to go listen and watch because she's just so unique in what she does. And of course, her education mixed with just good communication and humor is great. But yeah, it was said to be that the character was supposed to be a Southern Belle named Phyllis, almost more like a designing women character. And then maybe as things were being casted and moved around, somebody from Fox was like, well, what about Leslie Jordan? And instead of being Phyllis, it became Phil. So if you haven't seen the show and you want to see something warm, funny, cute, I mean, it is just the perfect texture in terms of the cast members. Like, everybody works well together. And again, it is literally all about them at their cat cafe. Oh, and of course there's a bar next door too. So it's kind of like a little a hub of restaurants and bars and cafes and stuff like that. And I think it's set in, is it in Louisville? Maybe. But anyways, I watch it regardless of where the premise is, but it's just so good. Cheyenne Jackson's in it. It's like the perfect Susie, what's her name, with a K is her last name. She was on Sisters years ago, in the 80s, I believe. And she plays the pretty mother to in terms of what her character thinks. She doesn't think Mayim Bialik's character Kat is beautiful, and she'll let her know every episode. So can you just see how much I love the show and how fantastic it is when you have a show that everybody just gels? That's the beauty of casting. And I sometimes don't know where we're at in terms of, television and film and stuff like that, because a lot of things are now stunt casting, because, you got to get the person with the biggest social media following, et cetera, et cetera. But this cast felt very good together, in terms of like a chemistry test. And I just loved it from episode 1, season 1. And I was like, okay, if it gets through season 1 and it gets a season 2, this could be one of the great sitcoms. And I'm such a sitcom person. I think of old shows like Cheers. I think of even Mary Tyler Moore, Golden Girls, Full House was a great one, Growing Pains, like Living Single, Friends, Friends after Living Single. You know what I'm saying. But I just love a good sitcom and the way that everything is just that lightning in a bottle, because it is so hard to happen, just because somebody was a star on another show doesn't mean, they're going to lead this next series. And for whatever it was, Phil, which was Leslie Jordan's character, fit in perfectly. I'll give you a little backstory. And the only reason I'm doing this first, we'll talk about some of the other stuff with Will and Grace and his impact on social media, his love for music, all of the things. But the reason I want to talk about this show is because I feel like it may be, in fact, he said this on an interview recently. People were looking at him like during March of 2022, March of 2020, and everyone was, stay inside orders. People were looking at him like, oh, he's just this person. And he's like, no, I've had a 40-year career. But what he did was so magical, coming off of Instagram and just, being funny and doing something that uplifted. I mean, the amount of people who have the sentiment of, you helped get me through that pandemic, through the time. You helped me get through that. Work was bad and it was unpredictable. And, what's going to happen to this family member or that family member? And his humor really did it. And so it's really great that he was a lot of things for a lot of different people. And as I said, the reason I'm bringing up Call Me Cat is because so many people are like thinking he's just a viral sensation, but no, he is an actor, and he's, he loves singing his hymns. He's just a really unique and funny entertainer that has been around for so many years. I feel like I've never really heard in terms of like, what was that like, him being from the South, of a time as a gay man, and his, and I don't want to put the words in anyone's mouth, but the opportunities may have not been as pleasant or plentiful. And so what he does here on Call Me Cat, to me, is really exciting, because he just fits in, the character works. And I personally get a bit specific in terms of, sometimes you'll have these characters that are the gay characters, and this is maybe more of an 80s conversation here, but they're almost like a character that's like, you're meant to laugh at them and not with them. And I get very defensive, me personally. I get very defensive when the gay character is just to make, just to be a joke for you. And I thought this character was not that. I thought Phil felt like, people that I know, guys that I know of that age, he felt warm, he felt real, he felt, actually realized, and all that stuff. The character himself came off of a relationship, so that's why he was supposed to be, well, it was supposed to be Phyllis at first, but that's why Phil was supposed to be kind of a moody bitch, with love. But what saddens me so much, and I don't know where we're going to see, because obviously the third season is airing right now. They're going to have a tribute episode this coming week, but then, the production is down for a moment, and, storylines are going to have to change. I hope, I don't know how far they were along, because I had heard this. Leslie Jordan said in an interview recently that his character Phil was going to start having a love interest. So I'm just thinking about this guy who, and again, if he never complained all those years ago when things were not the way they are in terms of visibility for the LGBTQIA community, things have changed for the community so well. But there had to have been a part when he was younger where it was just so hard to get in where you fit in. Where did you fit in? You know what I mean? He did tons of commercials. And I feel a bit like it's so weird, because why should we be sad? But I feel like we're sad, I feel like I'm, as a viewer, sort of like robbed of, I wanted to see the Phil character, start dating, and, not just being what we have seen for so many years. Like I said, oh, there's the sidekick, that's the gay characters, that's the sidekick that just complements the story. It didn't feel like that. And I was really interested to feel what Phil would be going through on this series. And again, I think Fox has a really great show here. I don't know what that will look like going forward. Obviously, this is not the first time ever in the history of history where there's been a sitcom or a successful show, and the show must go on, which I hate to to think like that. Famously in the series Cheers, it was Coach, and then it was Woody Harrelson's character He played Woody, right? Was the same character? Yeah, Woody. Not same character, but same name. You know, Cheers was a show that ran what 11 years, and you do just go on. Nobody is replaceable, but I do question and hope in our low attention span generation that seems to be right now, in terms of the networks, they cut everything. I hope that people can say, "Oh my gosh, this guy Leslie Jordan, who was a viral sensation." I mean, he started with 20,000 followers on Instagram maybe a year before, and then March of 2020, he became somebody who had like 5 million followers because he was so funny. And that was actually good for him maybe to get the series because again, without the following, sometimes you don't get that look. But whatever it was, the stars were aligned. The stars were aligned. It was like a perfect show for me. I felt like this is a show that like everything about it I love. I always talk about all the shows are typically geared towards people that are very very young or like you have to be starting a family, et cetera, et cetera. This was like a really affirming. I'm the cat lady, in terms of Mayim Bialik's character. Her name is Cat. I'm the cat lady. I'm a little bit quirky or odd, which is again after the UK version, Miranda. But it's okay, which I always say, me personally, I don't have kids. I'm not married, but I think I'm fly and amazing as all can be. And I don't think we get enough programming, television shows, movies, or just even conversations. Usually it's like, oh, you're single. Like there's some problem there. Like I feel bad. You know what I mean? Not to say that I'm opposed to finding love and stuff like that, but I love a show that kind of lets everyone be who they are and end up where they are. That pressure that is given to pretty much everybody to have that be married, have a white picket fence, have two kids and a dog. It doesn't fit for everybody. So I loved this show for that. This was the quirky other side of it. Real funny though, real cute. Call Me Cat. It was the cat lady, and I enjoyed it. And Phil as a character, just he matched it so well. And Leslie Jordan will be missed from the series. And again, I hope to continue to honor him. The show does get a fourth season and a fifth season and a sixth season, seventh season. uh, Obviously that's hard to think about right now, but there, in my opinion, there's so many people who could be coming over from TikTok and saying, oh wow, I didn't even know he was on this hit show, and let me start from the beginning and watch all three seasons, and maybe the fan base can grow. I don't want to see the end of his work, but the beauty of the beauty of the business is that when you do things in the creative field, you can always go back, you can always go and look, and that's what's really special. Let's shift gears to when, I mean, mo so many people sort of exploded in awe of this relationship, this dynamic, Megan Mullally and Leslie Jordan, and the two characters that they played on Will and Grace. And again, it was just so odd to me to hear just recently that, oh, they his character mighty and but not on very much. I think only about 12 episodes in that first run. I don't know if that's 12 plus the second run, like because there was another appearance or two. But what an impact to be such a character that people took to, and not necessarily he wasn't in the series that much, but they felt very connected to him. And I think in a way, I don't know, because I've been trying to watch a lot of his interviews. I don't know where he stands or whatever, but to wait to go that many years and push and push and push and push and to get these big shows at the later stages of his life and career really are quite outstanding to think about. I mean, even in the respect of like Will and Grace, like that show being such a monumental show at the time and in the reboot. I think the reboot tragically didn't have as many seasons as I wanted. It was like, why did we start it if it wasn't going to, have a couple more? But nonetheless, it did something for so many people. I remember the time like it was yesterday. In fact, at that time, I was a little bit more shunned to stay away from the show. I didn't want to see that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It felt a little too close to home, I suppose. Now we are past that. Look at me, my spirit purple shirt, but it was something that if you did go look at it, you could have some humor. The things that go on and the adversity that you have to go through are much bigger than a lighthearted sitcom for 30 minutes. I get that. But this show did present an escape. And just really amazing that he Leslie Jordan got to be a part of something that was so special. And I was watching yet another interview, and it turns out that character was supposed to be a woman as well. So Leslie Jordan has just been there at the right place at the right time, and has continued to push through. I have not watched too many American Horror Stories. I watched a little bit of Cult. I have to go back and watch some of the others. I am watching NYC, which I like. But I know that there was a lot of positive feedback in his work on American Horror Story. So it's kind of great that he got to be in that Ryan Murphy family. And the best was yet to come. And that's what makes this really probably the most frustrating and sad. Remembering Leslie Jordan feels like, no, we're just getting cooking. That's what it takes. Sometimes it takes a 40-year career. Now if you're Brad Pitt, straight white male, maybe things are going to be a different career for you, and things could go right off the they could and I'm not contrasting anybody, but I'm saying maybe things move faster for you when you are Leslie Jordan, a Southern gay male. Where do you go? What roles do you have? He's had to really push and push and push and push. And I'm not making it a thing, by the way. I'm not making it a thing, but I really want to acknowledge how this makes me sad that his passing was a little, untimely, because this was when we were getting cooking. We were really getting 5 million on Instagram. I don't really care about Instagram numbers, but that's big. That means people loved this man. And I can't imagine those earlier times in his career, how many people must have told him, change your voice, or do this, or don't act like that, or that's too effeminate, this, and this. And again, I'm not making a story for Leslie Jordan because I don't really know if he ever felt those ways. I do want to say that he was candidly really, really bold. I was listening, as I stated, listening and watching Mayim Bialik, who I think is so great as Call Me Kat. She has her own podcast, as I said, the Bialik Breakdown. And he, as much as similarly to Cheyenne Jackson, he talked about his sobriety. So he even said, and I wanted to make sure I worded this correctly, so I make it make sense, or make it correct. 42 years old, up till 42 years old, he still, and I won't get into details in terms of what was the abuse, but there were some, alcohol and drug abuse up till 42. So I guess what I'm saying is I feel like we caught him right when he was at his like prime. And I think some of the interview sound bites that we were hearing on the news in terms of his assistant and the statements made by his management or publicist or whatnot, was he was at the prime of his personal and professional life. And that's the part that gets me. So many times when you get older in this industry, everyone ducks off and heads out and tries something new. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even me, I always get in this weird thing where I'm like, dang, Ronnie, you're still going, but don't worry, you're going to still go, because you're not going to stop until you get what you want to achieve. And I've already achieved a lot, but it makes me feel really weird, because sometimes we put the future as like, oh, but we want to keep building and keep building and keep building. And then the future, everything will be, the career and the life that you wanted. And I feel like he done that same thing. He had kept building, he had continued, he had pursued, the dream. And now things were really starting to click, and then, cut short. Now in terms of, I believe he was close with his mother. He had twin sisters, and they were close in age to him as well. His mother passed recently. His sister passed recently, and they were all close in terms of, even potentially financially, because the daughters, I guess, were really with the mother up until the end, and that happened recently within this last year. So there could be a little bit of heartbreak too, that went on, just in the family in general. So the prayers to Leslie Jordan's entire family, because that's a lot of loss in a really short time. And again, a lot of loss for Leslie Jordan, who let's say this is somebody in your family, you're rooting for them, and finally everything is going, you're on a hit sitcom, people love you from the Instagram, 5 million followers. So obviously more opportunities coming to you. You are actually moving faster and getting all the things you had always dreamed of, because you paid your dues. And I just feel so sad for him to have paid his dues and not received it all. Now, did he receive tons of success? Yes. That Will and Grace moment must have, I mean, you could, that would be the one question I'd ask if I were to, snap your fingers and this all be different. And, an interview, what did that Will and Grace experience feel like? Was that the ultimate experience? But it's not going to go that way. And we have to rest assured that within his career, and again, I'm not speaking for nobody, I'm just speaking for like how I feel receiving the art, how how did he, I hope that he, and it's a message for us all, because you have to take every day within that dash, you have to take every day from the day you were born to the day, your final day, you have to really make sure you're doing as much as you can to make yourself happy, because nothing is promised. And it's not promised even if you are at that stage where you were really just about to receive your flowers and you were about to really start winning financially. Financially, I don't know, in terms of maybe he helped his family or whatnot, because I said they were very close. But what he did mention in an Instagram is that he just bought his first condo at 67 or whatnot. That's not to say his other money didn't go to investments or whatever, or properties, but like this was something that he could live, in his words, in a deluxe apartment in the sky. And it's just like, wow, that was just in August. Like, these are the things that are like, okay, Call Me Cat coming for season 3, maybe season 4. Everyone, all I feel like I sound redundant, so I definitely think I'll stop the episode soon. But I just feel so um attached to the concept of working hard and then you waiting for your big moment. And yes, you had it. He had it. And we have to, you have to hope in this grieving process, you have to hope that he had it. And again, let me make mention, I am not even the person who does the whole like, oh, I'm gonna go to TikTok or Instagram and talk to in depth about somebody I have never met. But I just think within his career it's a little bit different. um and I would only hope that the work that he did by just being himself is something that all of us, could continue to grab, pass the torch, and continue to, do the great work for the next generation. Within the work that I've done, I've not been an actor, but I've been in radio, and I remember the restrictions of like, okay, in radio, let's keep it quiet, let's keep it real hush hush, in terms of me coming out, I think it was like 28, 29 years old. And then now what it's like when I try to do radio, and why I feel more comfortable. I love radio too. Don't get me wrong, hire me. I'm all good. But I'm saying, to know that like there's this platform, I can just kind of be as open, as honest and proud, like Leslie Jordan, a proud gay man on the program. And I could do that here, as he did on Call Me Cat, as he did on Will and Grace, as he did on American Horror Story. And all of that is a contribution why we all win together. So if you're wondering, or even just kind of like, what is it that's really important? It's because it is important. It's all a step for everybody. And like I said, the big things I want to harp on are, back in the day, there was there would be more like, I don't want to say caricatures because it's such an overused word, but there would be people that would be the gay character, but they would be, just very, very aside character, and very, just to basically fawn over the lead. And I love it when we're not laughing at that gay character. When I love it when we are laughing with, and I think that's the place we're at. And hopefully, if you love my show, you're laughing with me too. Hopefully you're not laughing at me, but it's important because sometimes, when things get casted, it goes that way. And I felt like Leslie Jordan was perfect for everybody. People loved him across the board, and it's so sad. It is so sad. um this would have been a time to see, like I say, his character have a love interest and a relationship development. Granted, it's a sitcom, but could have led to some other stuff. We love to see him in movies, we love to see him in streaming series, and on TikTok. So such a great guy in terms of the work that he brought to the table. We'll leave you with a couple things, knowing that he, of course, loved to sing. And this is a really great photo of him at the Grand Ole Opry. So, obviously being from Chattanooga, Tennessee, that is very connected to him as well. And I think the one that is the funniest or fun, funnest to look at is really comprehending. And we're looking at a picture of him back in the day, really comprehending, what it is. We see him, it's kind of like we see success, not just from him, but from everybody. We see it at the end, way at the end. But this picture really makes me happy. And if you're listening audibly on Spotify and Apple, I encourage you to go to popculturepov.com. That's popculturepov.com. That way you could see the YouTube image. This photo makes me happy because it shows me that, I mean, and you don't know how dark or inner turmoil he was going through things at the time, but at least he's got a smile on his face, and it gives you a little bit bigger of a sense of like, wow, he isn't just this old cute man that we like now who's in his late 60s. He was like we all are. He was us. And we're, Lord willing, we're all going to get, a lot of time to do different things and grow. And I think we should always have that smile on the face. But by the way, like I said, it does not mean that he was not candid, and he was very open, very vulnerable about abuse of alcohol and drugs and stuff of that nature up until 42. So whatever you're doing now, and what's the psychology behind that too, what was really like messing him up, um I'll let you go to my MBLX breakdown, the podcast, because they talk about it all and it's very, very good. And her podcast is actually very good too. And she's interviewed everybody. But I was watching Mayim and Leslie, and there was just so much takeaway that I got in terms of rewatching that particular podcast. And it did make me say, you know what? I'll do a podcast episode, because at first I was like, what gives me the qualifications? I'm not like a writer on on the series. I'm not like an actor and have acted alongside, but I am a fan. And people make it like that's a bad thing. I am a fan. I'm a fan of the work. I'm a fan of the work. Let's take a look real quickly, if we can. Let me see if I can bring these in here. One second. I want to see if I can bring in the screen where I could maybe play a couple of his oh, there we go. Maybe play a couple of his funny this one of his funny Instagram videos. Let's check. Seen one. I've actually seen that one. Yeah, no, he gets busy in that one. Because of the music copyright, I might not play that one right now. I want to look at the one where he was. Oh, this one would be funny. This is Drew Barrymore was talking about the rain. Let's see. This was him duetting with Drew Barrymore.
Whenever you can go out into the rain, do not miss the opportunity.
Okay, let me see. There's that one. Let's see. Okay, now this is a hot body. So let me see what he says about this hot body. Okay, let me go here. Oh, wait, it didn't go through anymore. Stand by. Okay, actually, let me clear that out. Well, you know what to do. Go to Instagram and you could see them all. You could see them all. Don't worry about the music copyright issue or whatnot. But yeah, that was the thing. That was the thing. He was a bright light amongst when the world had to kind of quarantine, and March of 2020 became a thing, and it was a whole new way of living, and he brought joy. The DJ D Nice, he brought joy in our journey. And I'm saying this to myself too. This is not like I know anything about anything. I need to like remember you have a purpose, find out what that is. And maybe that purpose is to give joy to people, to be kind to people. I'm okay with a little shady comment here and there, but really look at what your reason for what you do, decide and define what that is. That is it. I really, really wish I could give more information. Real quick, just as a side note, because I do a lot of episodes. So if you saw this one and you're like, wow, he's so shaky bakey. Well, this is kind of hard to do a grieving Leslie Jordan, episode, because it doesn't feel real yet. I do have several other podcasts. Go to popculturepov.com, as I stated, randomlyronniejr.com, and the patreon.com/randomlyronniejr. So you can check all of those things out, and everything links to everything else, and it's fun. They're not usually like this, where we're kind of in a sad and gosh, let's celebrate the work, let's remember the joy, but it still does make you say, darn it, I wish what was going to be his next thing. Maybe we were in store for a Billy Eichner just had the first gay rom-com, and the ratings were not ratings, but the box office wasn't all the way there, even though it was a great movie and I loved it. But maybe we were ready to see Leslie Jordan lead a movie. I mean, it's just, we're in a different stage, and we just didn't have all these things. Again, thinking back in life, and how the journey is, did he have all the opportunities when he was a young guy? He might not have had it, but he stuck with it, and I think that's just the coolest thing in the world. I think it's the coolest thing that he had this huge long journey, and we were lucky to see the end of that journey, because very well he could have switched up careers, or maybe moved back to Tennessee. And luckily for all of our humor, and for shows like Call Me Cat, and Will and Grace and everything, luckily we got to get a lot of laughs. And if somebody could give you laughs, that's a really cool thing. um I'm trying to think of the perfect ending here for Leslie Jordan, but the thing is, you have that dash, and hopefully his journey was great. Like I said, his mother recently had passed, and so did his sister. So condolences to that entire family. If you could make sure you're checking out and start DVRing Call Me Cat. The little moniker here says, all's well that friends well. Yeah, it's just a really great show about friends and the cat cafe, and it's casted very well, and it's going to be hard to continue to watch the show. I'm interested to see what they're going to do, in terms of, taking a week off for production and then getting back to it. What's the answer? It seems like there's no answer. It seems like there's no answer, but the show does go on, and I think that's what Leslie Jordan would want. And I think that's even why I decided to do an episode today. I was like, I don't feel like I'm, the right person to do it, but I'm like sad. Like I have like tears down my eyes, as for somebody I've never met. But it just is, I feel like he got robbed a little bit. So hopefully we can focus in on the joy that was had, and move forward like that. But once again, Leslie Jordan, in his late 60s, unfortunately passing of an automobile accident, and we'll focus on all the joy that he brought for all those years and years and years and years. um yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, remembering remembering this funny guy. All right, that's it. Good night.